look at you. You've been through the ringer, huh? You've seen things, experienced things that would make anyone crumble. The endless struggles, the battles that seem to never end. You wake up some days and it feels like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, pressing down, pushing you further and further into the dirt. Every corner you turn, there's a new trial, a new challenge, something else to deal with. You've been tested, you've been shaken, you've been stretched to the breaking point, and yet, here you are, still standing. How's that for a twist? Perseverance. The funny thing about perseverance, isn't it? People talk about it like it's some kind of magic trick, like if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, everything's going to be fine. But here's the thing. It's not about making it through because everything magically falls into place. No, it's about sticking around while the world spins out of control. It's about enduring the noise, the chaos, the relentless pressure that pushes you into corners, and still, somehow, not giving up. You think it's going to be smooth, easy, simple. Let me tell you something. Life's got a twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? You ever feel like you're standing there doing everything right, playing the game, following the rules, and it still feels like the world's laughing in your face? You get knocked down, picked apart, pushed to the edge, and you keep getting up. It's like life's telling you to crawl, begging you to quit, but you don't. Oh no, you don't. You're still standing. You see, that's the thing about perseverance. It's never about the easy path. It's never about the easy path. It's about what you do when you're standing in the middle of the storm, trying to breathe, trying to figure out how to hold on just a little longer. It's not about whether or not you win, because you might never win. No, it's about what you become in the process. It's about refusing to let the world grind you down, refusing to let them see you break. So, you keep going, you keep fighting, and let's be real for a second. No one tells you how many times you're going to fall. No one tells you that it'll get harder. The tests, the trials, they just keep coming. You deal with one, and another one's already waiting for you. People will tell you it's for your own good, that it'll all work out eventually. They'll say, hey, hang in there. They'll say, this too shall pass. But deep down, you know what they don't get. They don't understand the struggle. They haven't felt the weight. They haven't been in the trenches like you have. And you're standing there feeling like you're losing, but you're not. You're fighting, you're enduring, and that's what makes you strong. No matter how many times you fall, you get back up again. You're tired, sure, but you're not broken. Every step you take, every time you push through that wall of doubt, you're proving to the world that you're not going anywhere. It's easy to give up. Hell, it's tempting. But you don't. You keep going, even when it feels like no one's watching, even when it feels like the whole world's forgotten about you. You see, people love to romanticize perseverance. They love the idea of it, but they don't really know what it means. Perseverance isn't pretty. It's messy. It's blood, sweat, and tears. It's standing in the face of defeat and refusing to let it have the last word. It's about showing up every single day, even when the world tells you that you shouldn't, even when everything around you is falling apart. And when you've been tested enough, when you've been through enough hell, you realize something. The struggle becomes second nature. The fight becomes who you are. You start to understand that there's no such thing as a perfect victory. There's only what you've earned through blood and pain. Perseverance isn't about some end goal. It's about surviving the next round, the next battle, no matter how long it takes. And let's be honest, when you've been through the kind of pain that only the truly broken can understand, you start to realize something strange. You're becoming something else. You're becoming stronger. You're becoming someone who's impossible to defeat because they've already gone to the edge and stared down the abyss. They've seen the worst and they're still here. And in that, there's a power that no one can take away. So keep going, keep showing up, because that's how you win, not by avoiding the struggle, not by skipping the pain, but by embracing it, by fighting through it, by refusing to let it break you. And when you look back, you'll see that what seemed like a never-ending battle was really the thing that made you untouchable. You think life's gonna hand you anything easy? Think again, it won't. But that's what makes the fight worth it. That's what makes surviving worth it. Because in the end, when you've faced it all and made it through, you won't just be another face in the crowd. You'll be the one who refused to fall, the one who refused to give up. And that's your real victory. Self-doubt. It's the shadow that follows you around, isn't it? It creeps in when you least expect it, right when you think you're standing tall. It whispers in your ear, you're not enough. It finds the tiniest crack in your confidence, then it just explodes. And you listen to it, don't you? You listen even when you know you shouldn't. It tells you that you're not good enough, that no matter how hard you try, it's never going to be enough. And what do? You shrink. You start questioning everything. Am I good enough? Am I worthy? What if I fail? It's almost funny, isn't it? You've been through so much already, but this voice, this whisper in your head, still has the power to break you. Self-doubt doesn't care about your achievements, your struggles, or your victories. It doesn't care about the hours you've put in, the sacrifices you've made. It's a parasite, a constant companion that feeds on your weaknesses, and you let it. You let it get to you. You let it sit there, festering inside, telling you what you can and can't do. It's like it knows the perfect time to strike when you're at your lowest, when you're too tired to fight back, when you're sitting there thinking about everything you've done wrong, everything you could have done better. Self-doubt wants you to give up before you even get started. The thing is, no one really talks about it, do they? Oh sure, people talk about overcoming challenges, about pushing through the pain, but no one talks about that internal battle. The one that rages on inside your head, that fight against yourself, against the version of you that says you're not enough. They tell you to push forward, to keep going, but they don't tell you how loud the voice of self-doubt gets, how it drowns everything else out. They don't warn you that sometimes the hardest thing to do isn't to fight the world, it's fighting your own mind. And when you finally hear the voice of doubt, it's not some distant whisper anymore, is it? No, it's right in your face, screaming, demanding that you pay attention. Who do you think you are? You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have what it takes. And every time you hear that voice, it chips away at you. It takes pieces of your confidence, your courage, until all that's left is a shell of the person you used to be. But it doesn't stop there. No, it feeds on your fear, on your insecurity. It grows stronger every time you let it win, every time you doubt yourself just a little bit more. But here's the truth, the thing no one really wants to admit. Self-doubt is a liar. It's a trickster. It's not real. It has no power unless you give it power. Every time you believe the lie, every time you let that voice control you, you lose. You lose your sense of self, your will to keep going, and you lose the fight. You see, self-doubt wants you to think you're alone in it. It wants you to think you're the only one who's ever felt this way. It makes you think that your fear, your hesitation, your anxiety are all signs that you're not meant for the things you're reaching for. But here's the kicker. Everyone has these feelings. Everyone feels the fear, the doubt. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is how they handle it. You have two choices. You can let self-doubt crush you, or you can use it as fuel. Yeah, you heard me right, fuel. Every time that voice gets louder, every time it tells you that you can't do something, take a deep breath and turn that energy around. Don't let it control you. Don't let it define who you are. You're not the person who listens to that voice. You're the person who fights through it, who keeps going even when the world says you can't. You don't get to shrink down and hide in the corner. No, you stand tall and you look that doubt in the face and say, "Try me." I'm not saying it's easy. Hell, it's a battle every day. It's that nagging voice at 2 a.m. when you're wide awake and wondering if you've done enough, if you're on the right path, if you'll ever make it. It's the constant reminder that there's always someone better, smarter, faster, stronger than you. But the truth is, those people, they've got their own demons, their own voices telling them the same thing. The difference between you and them is simple. They didn't let it win. So why should you? Self-doubt is a game, a cruel little game where you're the pawn and it's the puppet master. But here's the thing. You get to decide whether you play by its rules. You get to decide whether you listen to it or you break free. Every time you get back up, every time you face that doubt and keep moving forward, you're winning. You're winning because you're not letting it control you. You're showing the world that you're stronger than it thinks, that you've got what it takes. Self-doubt doesn't define you. You define you. Every single time you push through it, you redefine what's possible. The thing about control, right? It's an illusion. A tight little game we play to keep ourselves from spiraling. We spend our lives gripping at the reins, trying to steer everything in the direction we think it should go. We pretend that we're in charge of it all, that we have all the answers, that if we just keep trying hard enough, we'll solve the puzzle. But here's the kicker. Control, it's not real. Oh, sure, we think we have it. We plan, we strategize, we work ourselves into the ground to make things turn out the way we want them to. We do everything in our power to make things fit, and when they don't, we go crazy, trying to force it, to make it happen. It's almost laughable, isn't it? How we make ourselves sick, trying to control the uncontrollable. See, what no one tells you about control is that it's exhausting. You can try all you want to keep things in line, to maintain some semblance of order, but the truth is, life isn't interested in playing by your rules. No matter how much you beg, scream, or bargain with it, life's going to happen the way it's going to happen, and you can either roll with it or break under the weight of trying to force it into submission. But we love our little illusions of control, don't we? They give us comfort, a false sense of security that tells us, hey, we've got this. We know what's coming. And for a while it feels good. You get that false confidence, the feeling that you've cracked the code. But then life shows up with a big, fat surprise and reminds you that you're not in control. You never were. That's when the chaos hits. The thing you didn't see coming. It blindsides you, knocks you off your feet, and all of a sudden you're scrambling to hold on to something, anything. You want to scream at the universe, demand that things go your way for once. You feel like you've earned it, like you've worked hard enough for life to just let you have a moment of peace. But no, the universe doesn't care about your plan. It never did. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's what's so terrifying about it all. Life doesn't care what you want, when you want it, or how hard you've worked for it. It's a force far bigger than your tiny little mind can grasp. And the harder you try to control it, the more it slips through your fingers. The real kicker here is that we spend so much time fighting to hold on to something that was never ours to keep. We struggle with the truth, and the truth is this: control is a fantasy. The more you try to hold on to things, the more it'll slip away. The tighter you grip, the more you suffocate everything around you. You can't force people to do what you want. You can't make things happen the way you think they should. So what's the answer, huh? If control isn't the answer, then what is? It's simple, really. Surrender. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about letting go. The thing you've spent your whole life avoiding. The thing that terrifies you more than anything else. But listen, the trick isn't about giving up. No, it's about giving in. Giving in to the flow of life, to the uncontrollable madness of it all. You don't need to know every step, every move, every outcome. You don't need to make every decision like it's the last one you'll ever make. The real freedom, it's found in release. It's in knowing that you're not the one running the show. It's accepting that the world doesn't revolve around your plans, and it's okay. You don't need to control everything. When you stop fighting against the flow, something shifts. It's like you stop trying to plug every hole in the dam, and instead, you let the water run freely. You let go of all those things you've been trying to control, trying to fit into your perfect little box. You let go of the need to make everything look neat and tidy. And what happens when you do that? Life doesn't crumble, it doesn't fall apart, it doesn't end in a fiery explosion. Instead, it finds its own rhythm, its own pace. The pieces fall into place, sometimes when you least expect it. And you realize that the less you try to control, the more things seem to work out. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped trying so damn hard to make it happen. It's funny how things work, isn't it? How the more you try to hold on to something, the more it slips away, but the moment you loosen your grip, it all falls into place. You stop carrying the weight of everything, and suddenly, life feels lighter. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to have a plan for every single thing that happens in your life. The pressure, it doesn't need to be on you. The answer isn't in controlling the chaos, it's in dancing with it. Letting the waves crash and carry you to new places, places you never imagined you'd go. You're not the one steering the ship, you're just along for the ride, so why not enjoy it? Ah, stress. What a wonderful little companion we've all come to know, haven't we? It's that constant nagging, that weight on your shoulders that you just can't shake. The one that creeps in when you least expect it, like a bad guest who just doesn't know when to leave. It's always there, lurking in the background, whispering in your ear, telling you that you're not doing enough, that you're not enough. It's like a slow poison that seeps into your thoughts, making you doubt yourself, your abilities, your worth. We let it in, we entertain it, we let it run wild until it consumes us. And the thing is, stress isn't even the real problem. It's not the cause of it all. It's just the symptom, a reflection of something deeper that we don't want to face. And when you're living under the weight of all that pressure, it can feel like you're drowning. But here's the thing, stress, it's a funny little creature. It comes in all sorts of disguises. It shows up as worry, as fear, as that nagging voice telling you that you're just one step away from disaster. And you know what we do? We believe it. We get caught up in the panic. We let the fear take over. We start making choices out of anxiety instead of clarity. We start reacting instead of responding. We lash out instead of thinking. We spiral instead of standing still. We make the stress our enemy and we let it control us. But why? Why do we let it run the show? It's like we're all playing a game, and stress is the dealer, holding the cards that we're so desperately trying to win. We think we're going to lose if we don't play by its rules. So we buckle up, we panic, we scramble to keep up with it, to meet its demands, to put out its fires. And the more we try to control it, the worse it gets. You see, stress is a monster, a shapeshifter. When you're pushing it away, trying to fight it, it only grows stronger. But what if I told you there's a way out of the madness? What if I told you that the secret to calming the storm is not in fighting it at all, but in surrendering to it? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? Surrendering? But it's true. You see, stress thrives on resistance. It feeds off of your refusal to accept the reality of the moment. The more you push back, the more you try to control things that are outside of your control, the more it takes over. But when you finally let go of the struggle, when you finally stop resisting, it has no power over you. And that's when the magic happens. That's when the world stops spinning out of control and you realize that you're not fighting the storm, you're dancing in the rain. Look, I get it. It's hard to stop. We've been trained to hustle, to work ourselves to the bone, to push through, to never give up. We've been told that if we're not stressed, if we're not burning the candle at both ends, then we're not doing enough. We've internalized the idea that stress is a badge of honor, that it's a sign of success, that the more stressed we are, the more important we must be. But that's a lie. Stress isn't a sign of success. It's a sign of imbalance. It's a signal that something is out of alignment. When you're living in a constant state of stress, you're not thriving, you're surviving. And there's a big difference. Thriving means living with purpose, living in alignment, living without the constant fear that you're about to lose control. Surviving, on the other hand, is like treading water, barely keeping your head above the surface. And eventually that's going to wear you down. The funny thing is, we spend so much time trying to fix stress, trying to escape it, trying to numb it with distractions or temporary fixes. But stress doesn't go away until you stop treating it like the enemy. You've got to face it head on, not as something to fight, but as something to learn from. It's trying to tell you something, trying to guide you to a better way, but you've got to be willing to listen. And the first step is understanding that you don't have to carry the weight of it all. You don't have to solve every problem, fix every issue, make everything perfect. You don't have to control every outcome. And that's where the freedom lies. It's in the release. It's in the acceptance that you can't do it all, and that's okay. Stress doesn't control you unless you let it. When you let go of that need to control every little detail, when you release the pressure to be perfect, stress loses its grip on you. You start to see things more clearly, and you realize that most of the things you're stressing over aren't nearly as big as they seem. They're just distractions, just noise, and once you stop letting them consume you, you find peace. Real peace, the kind of peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, the kind that comes from within. It's a radical shift, isn't it? But it's the only way out of the madness. When you stop trying to control everything, you stop letting stress your reality. You stop letting it dictate your mood, your choices, your day. Instead, you start to move with the flow of life, not against it. Stress doesn't have to be your constant companion. It doesn't have to run your life. You have the power to change the narrative, to step out of the cycle of anxiety and to finally breathe. So the next time you feel that weight bearing down on you, instead of running from it, instead of fighting it, try this. Breathe. Breathe and let it be. Instead of fighting it, try this. Breathe and let it be, and let it be, and let it be. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it. Just let it be. And you'll find that the more you let go, the more you actually gain. Oh, let me guess, you've been feeling it, haven't you? The heavy weight, the pressure, the constant gnawing in the back of your mind. It's like a ticking clock, always ticking, louder and louder, and you're just waiting for it to explode. The stress, the fear, the anxiety, they all pile up like some horrible game of Jenga, and you're just one wrong move away from everything crumbling down. You try to keep it together, you try to hold on, you try to convince yourself that everything's fine, but deep down inside, you know you're not fooling anyone, especially not yourself. You're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're sinking. And here's the kicker, we've all been there. Oh, don't you worry. You're not alone in this circus of chaos. We've all been the clowns in our own little nightmare, trying to juggle everything, all the expectations, the responsibilities, the never-ending to-do lists. But here's the thing. No matter how much you spin those plates, they're eventually going to crash to the ground. And that's okay. You know, that's the thing no one tells you. It's okay to crash. It's okay to fall apart. Because here's the real secret. No one ever tells you how liberating it can be to just let go. You see, when we're caught in that whirlwind of stress, we think it's all about holding on tighter, doing more, pushing ourselves further, but that's not it at all. You want to know the real answer? The key? It's to stop fighting it. It's to stop holding on to that string that's been pulling you in 100 different directions. Yeah, that's right. Stop fighting it. Let the chaos happen. Embrace the mess, because it's in the mess that you'll find the truth. Oh, sure, we all like to pretend we have everything together, don't we? We paint on our best smile, put on our shiny face, and pretend that everything is perfect, but deep down the cracks are showing. You feel them, you try to ignore them, you push them back down. But those cracks, they're a sign of something far greater than the chaos you're fighting to control. They're telling you something. They're calling you out. So why do we resist it? Why do we think we have to do everything ourselves? Why do we feel the need to hold everything together, to make it look like we have it all figured out? We don't. And we never will. That's the dirty little secret. No one has it all figured out. No one has the perfect life. No one's walking around with everything in place. We're all just stumbling through this messy, chaotic existence, doing our best not to lose our minds in the process. But here's the twist. Maybe it's okay to lose control. Maybe it's okay to let go of that need for perfection, that need for everything to be smooth and easy and planned out. Maybe it's okay to sit in the mess and just be for once. You know what I mean? Stop pretending to have all the answers. Stop pretending that you can solve it all. Because in reality, you're not supposed to solve it all. You're not supposed to have it all together. No one does. And here's the real kicker. When you stop fighting, when you stop trying to control every little detail, that's when the magic happens. Yeah, the magic. It's like a wild card in a poker game that you never saw coming. You've been so wrapped up in trying to keep everything perfect, trying to make everything fit into place, that you've completely ignored the fact that things don't have to be perfect to be beautiful. They don't have to be planned to be meaningful. The chaos, the cracks, the mess, that's where you find the truth. That's where the lessons are hiding. But you'll never see them if you're too busy trying to control. You've got to let go. You've got to sit back, breathe, and realize that not everything is within your control. And that's okay. That's actually more than okay. It's freeing. Because once you accept that, once you give yourself permission to just let things be, that's when you stop being consumed by the chaos. That's when you stop running from the storm and actually start dancing in the rain. But we don't want to dance, do we? We'd rather run, hide, try to fix everything, control every moment, because we're afraid of what might happen if we don't. We're afraid that if we let go, everything will fall apart. But you know what I'm starting to think? Maybe everything has to fall apart so it can finally come together. Maybe we've been so obsessed with holding things together that we've missed the bigger picture. The one that says, it's okay to fall. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to fail. You know, failure is like a gift wrapped up in a messy little package. And it's only when we stop resisting it that we can finally open it and see what's inside. Inside failure is the raw material for growth. It's in those cracks, those breakdowns, that we find the resilience to rise, to rebuild, to become something greater. But you'll never discover that if you're too busy trying to keep everything perfectly intact. So yeah, maybe you're stressed, maybe you feel like you're on the edge, maybe you feel like you're one step away from losing it all. But guess what? That's exactly where the transformation happens. That's when the walls break down and you see the light. It's not in holding on to the stress that you find peace. It's in letting it go that you find freedom. So stop fighting it. Let the mess happen. Because it's only through the mess that you'll truly find your way. Here we go again. Life, the great circus that it is, twisting us into pretzels, flipping us upside down, making us laugh and cry, sometimes at the same time. But you know what they never tell you? The show must go on. That's the mantra, isn't it? Everyone's so busy putting on their little act, pretending they've got it all together, dancing through life like they've got the answers, the secret, the key to some big cosmic lock. But what if it's all a joke? A big, beautiful joke, waiting for you to figure it out. You see, we're all caught up in these patterns, these loops, these routines. We wake up, we rush through the day, we push ourselves until we're about to snap, and we crash into bed only to do it all over again the next day. We work ourselves to the bone for what? To make sure we have the right clothes, the right car? What are we really chasing here? What's the big deal? But maybe, just maybe, we're doing it all wrong. You see, The truth is, we're all looking for something. We're all searching for that thing, that one thing that'll make everything okay. A promotion, a relationship, a perfect life, whatever that means. We think if we just get that one thing, everything will finally fall into place. All our problems will vanish, all the noise will go quiet, and we can finally just sit back and enjoy the ride. But let me tell you something. Life doesn't work that way. It doesn't. You can chase after all the things you want, work your fingers to the bone, grind yourself into the ground, but when you get to the top of that mountain, you'll be looking around wondering, yeah, you heard me. Right when you think you've reached the peak, when you think you've got everything in place, that's when everything falls apart. You've been working so hard to get to the top, but it's the fall that's going to teach you everything you need to know. You've been taught that failure is the enemy. You've been told that if you don't succeed, you're nothing. But here's the thing. Failure is where you find your strength. You can't break what's already broken. You can't shatter what's already in pieces. And once you realize that, once you stop fighting to keep everything intact, that's when you'll start to feel the freedom. Oh, sure, everyone's telling you to keep pushing, keep hustling, keep fighting for what you want. But what if the real answer is to stop? What if the answer is to sit back and let the universe, or whatever you want to call it, do its thing? What if the universe already has a plan? A beautiful, twisted, chaotic plan that's already working in your favor. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to figure it out right now. You just have to trust. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly how it's supposed to, even when it feels like it's falling apart. It's all part of the process, the grind, the hustle, the push. It's not for nothing. It's teaching you, it's giving you the tools you need to move forward, to rise from the ashes. You've heard the phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, that's not just some cute little motivational quote. It's the truth. But you've got to embrace it. You've got to take the punches, take the hits, and keep going. Life's gonna throw curveballs at you, but that's what makes you better. That's what sharpens you. It's easy to sit in your comfort zone, pretending like everything's fine, but that's not where the growth happens. The growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're pushed to the edge, when everything is falling apart, and you're left standing there wondering, what now? That's when you find out what you're really made of. That's when you find your true strength. The truth is, life is unpredictable. You never know what's coming next. One minute you think everything is great, and the next you're hit with a curveball that leaves you spinning. But you know what? That's the beauty of it. That's what makes the ride so interesting. That's what makes it worth it. Because if you had everything figured out, if everything was always perfect, where would the fun be? Where would the excitement be? Life is messy, and that's what makes it beautiful. So stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to hold on so tightly to the idea of what your life is supposed to look like. Let go. Embrace the chaos. Embrace the mess. Because in the mess, you'll find the real beauty. In the chaos, you'll find the peace you've been searching for. And when you stop trying to control it all, that's when you'll finally see the world for what it really is. Beautifully imperfect, full of surprises, full of lessons waiting to be learned. It's all a game and you're the player. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll start to enjoy the ride. It's not about getting to the top. It's about enjoying the climb.